Hi everybody, I'm Alex. I'm gardening in New York and I've got tropical fruit on my driveway in November. What the heck are they doing out here? Am I waiting for winter to take them? Absolutely not. We're gonna talk about why they're doing so well and why the heck these lemons are so big. Are they not absolutely massive? They are so heavy too, by the way. I'm really amazed. And by the way, if you like growing really cool plants in a really cool climate, and I'm saying literally cold climate, not cool like this climate, it's awesome, then like and subscribe and comment. Let me know what you want to see. Let me know what you want me to grow, because I always need my plant people to enable this addiction. And it truly is an addiction, but it is a wonderfully positive one. So a lot of people say I have too many plants, and to those people I say, when do you know? I'm asking you genuinely, when do you know that you have too many plants? I ran out of room in my backyard, so I started putting plants in my driveway. So I finally cracked the code on citrus after killing many citrus plants. And that is to let them go dormant during the winter time and to pick varieties that ripen early. Now, there are some varieties of orange that take 12, 13 months to ripen, from flower to fruit I'm talking about here. But this one, this is an Owari Satsuma. Looks just like the cuties that you get at the store. Maybe some of those cuties you get at the store are actually Satsuma mandarin oranges. They have a really soft peel. It's kind of loose. When you take the peel off, there's almost like a little hollow opening between that and the pulp. It is absolutely delicious. Okay, so what I love about the Owari mandarin is not only its cold tolerance, down to 15 degrees Fahrenheit, which is incredible for a citrus. I don't let it get that cold, but I do let it get below freezing. What I also love about it is that it goes from flower to ripe fruit in, give or take, in my climate here in New York, 6 months. That's it. So starts blooming around April, and then it's ripe by late October, early November, mid-November the latest. So, and actually what I love about citrus is that if you don't pick them off the tree, it's not like one of those plants that, oh, it's overripe now, I ruined it, like tomatoes, looking at you. No, you could keep citrus on the tree for months after they're ripe. And worst case scenario, they're just gonna fall off the tree. And but as long as they're on the tree, they're not gonna ripen any further. They're just gonna be perfect. So you can actually keep them on the tree for most of the winter. But the point is that you don't want this fruit on your tree when you're trying to overwinter it. If you're doing it inside the house, if you're overwintering the plants inside the house, that's a lot of energy that the plant is dedicating to getting those fruit to swell and grow bigger. We don't get that kind of sunlight. We don't get that kind of humidity and warmth inside the house, so they really struggle. So pick varieties that fruit fast. That's my first tip. And the Ponderosa lemon is another really awesome one for that purpose. I love how hardy this citrus is to begin with. It is definitely not your typical Meyer lemon. I mean, look at the stems on this thing. It's gotta be pretty hardy to hold lemons this big. I almost called them melons because they're like the size of a melon. They're insanely large. I always get like 2 or 3 pretty solid fruit on this. And again, pretty fast, from flowering in April to fruit in November, December maybe, for the Ponderosa lemons. These are very similar in flavor to lemons. Oh my gosh, I keep calling them melons, guys. It looks like a melon. Anyway, I do have the Meyer lemon as well. Ponderosa lemons are great because they have a huge rind, which makes them great for zesting. The Meyer lemons are the ones that you're gonna see most commonly for sale at your local nursery. Meyer lemons are a little different than the Eureka lemons, which are the ones that you buy at the store when you're picking lemons for dinner, for your lemonade, for your drinks, whatever. But anyway, Meyer lemons bloom hard and heavy and fruit like crazy, and I consider them biennial fruiters, which means that they fruit every other year. They go hard one year and fruit with 20, 30 fruit on it, and then it nearly dies and it won't fruit at all the next year. And that's fine, but if you want to avoid that, you could just cut half of the fruits off, because Meyer lemons don't know how to drop fruit. It's going to let every single fruit basically go to become a lemon instead of dropping the ones off that it can't support. So too much fruit, it could actually literally kill itself from it. This one looked gorgeous last year, tons of fruit. This year looks a little yellow, it needs some fertilizer, and you know, that's fine. Honestly, it's gonna come back beautifully in the spring. So that's the thing about citrus, they do flush with new growth in the spring, and that is my next tip. Instead of bringing my citrus into the house, I choose varieties that can handle some cold, like the Meyer lemons, the Mandarin lemon. I know I'm really disappointed with how yellow this looks. I'm embarrassed, but I promise you this will green up in the spring with some fertilizer. You don't want to fertilize it now because you don't want it to grow in the middle of late fall and soon to be winter, but I will give it a boatload of fertilizer in March and it is going to green up. Those new leaves are going to look great. It flushes out in new leaves in the spring and then usually in the early summer. So you get 2 crops of new leaves and it's going to make it look so much fuller. You just got to keep it alive, and I do that by keeping it in the garage. This is a kumquat. You never see kumquats for sale at the store here. Look at how tiny these fruits are. So they start off super tiny like this. I've got a bunch of tiny kumquats, and then it gets bigger like this. It's still not ripe yet. I know it looks like a lime, but it will turn orange. And they're so cool because you can actually eat the whole rind, and the rind is the tastiest part. So what I really enjoy about growing citrus is that it opens up your world to varieties beyond what you see at the store. I also want to give a little shout out to Fantastic Gardens in Patchogue, because look at what they gave me. A passion fruit vine. I don't want to climb up there because I'm lazy, so I'm pointing the camera up there, but you can kind of see the passion fruit, right? So this is a vine. This is not frost tolerant, so that's got to go inside the house soon. I've just been really slow about bringing some plants inside the house, but we haven't had a first frost of the season quite yet, so it's still fine a little bit longer. I have a couple of other fruits that I want to show you, and how about we call it a day? The garden's still looking pretty good, right? I mean, I can't complain. As long as we don't have a frost, things are still doing well. And of course, I'll bring some of them inside before we get that first frost of the season. But I do want to take you over to my other kumquat. This one is beautiful and functional. So it's beautiful with these really nice creamy leaves. This is called a variegated centennial kumquat. I love the variegation on these leaves. I always get nervous. I like double checking just to do like a little vibe check, make sure that things aren't, you know, falling off. I'm always checking for fallen leaves, and no, this looks good so far. And the only problem with this variety is that I can never find the fruit. I don't know why, but the fruit just blends in. I know that there's some fruit on here, and I can't see a single one. Ah, there you are. Look at that. The fruit is also variegated, by the way. Is that not amazing? I've had this plant for several years. I absolutely adore it. I don't really do anything to take care of my citrus. Once you get them through like a year, you're pretty good to go. It's very low maintenance. A couple of other plants I want to show. My papaya, but this doesn't look like a normal papaya, right? This is Babaco Papaya. This is native to higher elevations and can handle cool weather better than a regular papaya can. So again, just like a regular papaya, it doesn't really love freezing temperatures. It will survive a freeze. A papaya will survive a freeze, but doesn't like it, that's for sure. And this is similar in that way. It does not want to get below freezing, but it can handle these cooler days pretty well. And it also will fruit at a pretty small size. I didn't give it the best growing conditions this year, so I'm going to hit it with some more fertilizer next year and see what happens. Obviously, we had the bananas, which I talk about endlessly on my channel, so we're gonna cool it on the bananas for now, but not before we appreciate these dahlias. I know that they're a little wilty looking, but bam! I really love a dahlia, and they do bloom all the way up until the first freeze, and then after that I just bring the tubers inside the house. I have heard people on Long Island actually have success keeping them outside. Before we go, I want to show you some really fun fall plants that are starting to show up now that I ate away at this corner. There were tropical plants here, there were tropical plants here. Now things are looking a little bit more bare. The benefit to that is that I'm starting to see the beauty that is left with this Fatsia japonica. Did not protect this at all. I've had one at my parents' house for like 15 years almost. I don't protect it. It does great in New York. Why is this not available as a landscape shrub is beyond me. You can find it as a house plant. I don't know why nobody is growing this as a landscape shrub. You've got to. It stays evergreen. The leaves are huge, 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 beautiful. It literally looks green all winter long. It comes out of winter looking amazing. You've got to grow this. You've got to grow this. If this gets full shade, nothing grows here. I have lost plants that are like native, or not native, but will survive in a zone 6 and it dies in this corner. But Fatsia japonica, a zone 7 plant, flawless. I'm trying a camellia here too, because I feel like camellias are going to do pretty well here. This variety, loaded with blooms by the way, is called, because I forget everything, it's from Maple Leaf Farms in Manalapan, New Jersey, Bertha A. Harms. It's a white camellia. Really pretty. So we'll see. I feel like the evergreens do really well in the shade here. I'm also trying a holly fern, which I believe this is a more cold tolerant selection. This is typically a zone 8 plant, but oh, by the way, my Farfugium died, rest in peace. This is a holly fern. This is, I believe, the straight regular species of holly fern. No, it's not. Okay, this is the more cold tolerant variety. It's called Rochefordinum, allegedly hardy to zone 6. We're gonna find out. It's supposed to be evergreen too, and it reminds me so much of Zamnia, one of the most beautiful Florida natives in my opinion. It is just a gorgeous cycad, and it just has that kind of vibe. You'll also find hollies in Florida, and so it reminds me of Florida, but it's not native to Florida, it's native to Asia. I'm going to check out the hellebores for some new growth. Hellebores are evergreens and they bloom in January, typically for me. And I'm starting to see potentially a little bit of growth. So winter is coming. This plant will bloom in the middle of winter. Stop it with the weeds. The weeds are keeping me from getting a good shot of this plant. There we go. Boom. Pretty. That was a more light boom than the one that I did for my dahlias. My dahlias got a boom because they're so pretty. I'm sorry for this video. This is really just something that is a problem, that they're getting more and more unhinged. Oh, I still have to figure out what I'm gonna do with my passion flower. This is technically on topic because passion flowers are what make passion fruit. And even though this is not the edible variety, it is a gorgeous, gorgeous ornamental. I love everything about these flowers. I don't know how they're real. They smell awesome. This is Crayola Alto, and it's a cross between a hardy passion flower that survives the winter and a non-hardy variety that doesn't. So I'm going to cut it up, dig it up, and keep it inside the house and see what happens. I hope it survives because I love it. All right, into the pond area we go, and it's a little bit less of a jungle. If you remember a couple of weeks ago, I was going into the pond area and I was like, oh, look, it's a jungle. Not quite that much this time of the year, but I have a gorgeous, huge, really tall viburnum. And what I love about viburnum is that there's so many great species. This one blooms in the middle of December. And it's starting to bloom now in November. So it will bloom throughout the cooler autumn months and it stays evergreen. It is just one of my absolute favorite plants. The raccoon that is native to our little neighborhood also seems to love this plant for some reason, but I think it's because it's trying to get the berries on my dogwood. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this video. Gotta bring this cordyline plant in. I promise I will, but it gets so many mealybugs that I'm always afraid to. I've got to just douse it with neem oil and make sure I keep up with that because it really is a problem, but it's worth keeping. It's worth trying to save, just like so many of my plants. Before you know it, I'll be wrapping up my windmill palms. I know a lot of my friends who are growing cold tolerant palm trees, they are starting to wrap their stuff up, mostly just out of convenience because it's just so much work to do it right before a really cold snap, and also it's miserable to be outside in the winter if you're not a fan of winter. but I'm gonna wait a little longer for this guy because I just have less to do in January and late December, and that's usually when I need to cover it up. When temperatures get below 15 degrees, I'm patting it because when you pat it, you can see why they call it a windmill palm. Doesn't it look like the frond is oscillating like a windmill? If you look at it, like the propellers look like it's oscillating like a windmill. And that is how it gets its name, the windmill palm, one of the most common palm trees in the world, and nobody knows why they call it a windmill palm. And if you want to know the Latin, it's Trachycarpus fortunae. Bye everybody, have a wonderful rest of the day.